of death.
Yeah. We'll just yell out every time you do it.
Yeah.
One sec.
I'm sure Steve will
Hello everyone and welcome to the Yarraville Club for the final session of the 2022 Australian National Billiards Championship between Steve MIFSUD and Michael PEARSON. I'm David Pitt and I'm joined in commentary by Peter Tankard and on my left our producer Dan Lynch of CueballTV.
This morning I stood here and talked to
Just waiting for our tournament director Paul Cosgriff to introduce the match, but I can tell you the current state of play. Steve MIFSUD 749 leads Michael PEARSON 366 at the halfway mark of this 5-hour final. First session saw a highlight from Steve MIFSUD of a 237 break, his 7th double century of the tournament this week. Terrific billiards, and he's established a commanding lead of just over double Michael PEARSON's score. So in this session, Michael will want to get off to a good start and try and claw back this big lead that Steve's got. Steve, of course, will be wanting anything but that. He'll be wanting to knock in another big break to really drive home his advantage that he currently holds against Michael. Peter, how do you see the final
it's
playing
going to
out?
be difficult for Michael to make an initial impact because it's Steve that's at the table, and Steve has been more consistent. Mike's missed quite a few shots that we might not expect him to miss, but Steve's been making consistent breaks. Yes, he made the 237, but he also made 53, 65 and 77, while Mike's
second session of the 2022 Australian National Billiards. Currently, Steve MIFSUD is at the table on 29 unfinished, so the progress score has Steve on 749 and Michael on 366. We wish both players an equal rub of the green. We look forward to a great session. We look forward to a tremendous climax in finishing this tournament. It has been magnificent, and we welcome you to be on the live stream and following it with us. Thank you to the crowd that are here. If they could all make sure their mobile phone is turned off, we'll go when Steve is at the table and ready to start.
Michael's sole contribution over 50 was a 59. That's slim pickings by his usual high standards. So Mike will have to pick things up and he'll be looking for an opening. We've made some tape marks on the floor, so hopefully our referee will remember not to stand in that spot.
So far so good, Pete.
So far so good. No shortage of cue power there, Dave.
No. Lovely cue ball striking by Steve. He's always had, right from a very young age, very good cue power, combined with his control. One of Australia's greatest ever cueists with his, his record. World amateur snooker champion, of course.
Yes.
In 2002 in Egypt, and he's been at the top level of the game since he was a teenager, winning multiple Australian snooker championships, 2 Australian billiards championships, and world
5 times
championship.
runner-up.
Just a marvellous player and a huge credit to the game. Just playing a nice slow cat in there.
Now for our Sydney viewers, I have to tell you that these pots are not a given. These are templated pockets, something that we don't see a lot of in Sydney. We generally play into buckets in Sydney, but these are tight. You have to be in the heart of the pocket. You really can't cheat it. And it would be fair to say that quite a few players from Sydney have been found out in terms of accuracy of potting in the last week or so. So sneak underneath here, underneath the white ball. Just knocks them together. That's very good.
It's quite a handy kiss, that.
So a couple of little cannons here to eventually promote the red towards the pocket. Oh, now he's just showing off a little run of nurseries. So called because you're nursing the ball along the rail. The Americans call it a rail nurse. Playing for his own pleasure as much as ours now. Double kiss cannons on, but he'll play it up one cushion. Works the ball out into more familiar potting territory. So again, he's recorded a 50 plus break and extends the lead.
61.
Yeah, Steve achieved a lead of over 300 fairly early in the first session, and then was able to get it out over 400. Michael pegged him back a few times, back to under 400, but was never really able to make any big inroads into this lead of Steve's.
So taking the opportunity here to leave an easy in off white, he's going to push that out into drop cannon position and reform the balls again at the top.
So once again, Steve's got that lead out beyond 400. Still plenty of time. We've got nearly 2.5 hours left to play, so there's still plenty of time for Michael to peg that back. But he needs to firstly he needs to get on the table, and then he needs to stay there to make some inroads into this lead of Steve's. So just to return to the little quiz that Peter set up in the first session, the quiz question was, name a player or players that have never lost a match in the Australian National Billiards Championship. And before the interval I was talking about the 1924 Australian champion, Darcy Eccles, the Leviathan punter who owned a Melbourne Cup winner, the Trump, in 1937. I had a look during the interval. Darcy Eccles also won the 1923 and 1924 Victorian Billiards Championships. Normally he would have represented Victoria in both those years, but for some reason in 1923 he didn't. Victoria was represented by Arthur Trix, who was by that stage a veteran. Which means that Darcy Eccles, in fact, only played in one Australian Championship and won it. He was a member of the Victorian Club, which was the bookies club in those days, and in fact, they would have been able to put together the strongest team of any club in the world. They had Darcy Eccles, Australian champion, Tom Cleary, four-time Australian champion, very good players in Dave Dinley and some others. Albert Williams, former runner-up in the world professional champion, an Englishman who moved to Melbourne to live, was a member of the Victorian Club and was a 500 break player. And at number one, a fairly handy player by the name of Walter Lindrum.
That's a good side.
It's not a bad side, yeah. Steve just rode that one in a bit, didn't he?
He did a bit. Come up a little low.
He's basically been scratching around a bit in this break, but he's been scratching around for 91 points, which isn't bad.
It'd be nice to be able to scratch like that, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it?
So kicks the white ball off the cushion a little bit. Might be obscuring the potting line there, so he may have to come back this side. or play a cannon to move it. Play the cannon to move it. But in doing so, he is pushing it further and further away, so we're going to see a shortish run at top here before he has to rescue it again.
If that's going to get there.
Oh, it's not going to get there.
Yeah, so missed on 99. Just trying to hold the red by hitting that very soft. He may have just caught it a little bit thick. So that was a surprise, to say the least. So 99, that's Steve's second highest break of the final. He's only made the 1 century. It was a big one, but got his lead out now well over 400, and let's see what Michael can do in response.
Like all the great champions, Michael improves towards the end. So did you see a referee did try and occupy that space for a little while, and then the tape obviously reminded him not to get in our camera lines.
Could have been a bit dangerous.
Yeah, didn't need to do that.
Yeah. Just
Maybe
could
thought
have
it was
ended
just a
with,
free 2 points.
could have ended up with a smother or
Could
a
have.
Chinese snooker. It's okay. Got a good shot there of Michael's. Really straight cueing. He's a beautiful cueist, and his cue just comes through perfectly on the line.
Do you think these two are the best 2 potters in the tournament at the moment? Oh yes, there's.
He's got
That's really
2 full on the red and just left himself an awkward angle.
He's got tough
The
cueing
screw,
no matter which way he
yeah,
looks
that's
at
right,
this.
yeah. So probably they can so easily go wrong. 9 times out of 10, no problems, and probably 3 or 4 times they just turn up perfectly. But every now and then something like this happens, and you begin to wonder why you play them. Which is why Walter Linderman, at the peak of his career, essentially eliminated the drop cannon from his game. He's going off the side cushion here for a cannon. This is a difficult shot. There's a double kiss on. He's played that, and he's just overcooked it. Yep.
Not a lot in it.
Yeah, not a lot in it. Just snuck past it, but yeah. So
Frustration there for Mike.
frustration indeed. Yeah.
So Steve gets 99, Mike gets 19. The trend continues. So pull this ball up to in and out ball for a corner pocket position.
Good shot that. He's got it deep into the corner. Would have liked a heavier jaw to throw the red out
Yep.
to the side, but half ball in off the white.
Where do you put the white here, Dave?
A couple of options, 3 options really. You can play it dead slow to put it on the pink spot. You can play it up over the middle
about the worst
pocket,
place you could have
which
put
he
it.
hasn't done. Or you can play it for a long loser, and he hasn't done any of those 3 things. So he'd probably be potting the red, and he's playing so well.
Yeah, he'll
If he,
pot this.
if he can get this right. Yeah, he's played that beautifully. Just off the side cushion coming in, laying in for a half ball cross loser. Nice control shot that.
Wouldn't mind a 6 shot to follow this. Oh, he's missed that cross loser. If you're joining us online, please tell us where you're from, what your views are, and how you see the match progressing. And we are feeding you comments directly to the players. So if you've got some advice for Michael on how he can get back into the match, I'm sure he'd be pleased to hear it.
Good shot there for Michael. That was pretty skinny, that one.
It was, and he's brought it across close to the spot, so he can work it from here.
He hit that one hard and thin. Good job.
So he's elected to keep the red on the inside of the yellow ball. That way he can knock the yellow ball towards the spot. Oh, crikey.
It's twice he's missed a...
Well, they've just missed two in a row that I could get.
yeah, towards the end of the previous session,
Not
Michael
often,
missed
but I
another
could get 'em.
pot into the middle on the other side of the table.
Yeah.
That was...
So Steve misses a cross loser and Mike misses a mid-pocket pot.
That was you know, pretty bread and butter shot, that, and he actually missed it by a long way. He's hit it heavily into the... And he said,
Wonder what they had for lunch.
I don't know, but whatever they had it.
Whiskey
it's not
sours by the
working.
look of it.
Yeah. Michael just needs to compose himself here. Forget all about that last shot. You can only play the ball. He's got the most important shot in billiards. The next shot.
Yes. This is going to work out.
Yes, it has worked out, I think. He's got a couple of choices here. The red looks quite simple, but it might just require a little bit of getting. Just not
There's
sure.
something wrong with it, otherwise he would have played it already. Just cued it
Yeah, it was
smoothly.
just a bit wide, I think, and he just had to make sure that he loaded up with side to throw his ball into the pocket, but not hit it so hard that he lost the red input. He played that very well.
So, you know,
from
from red,
long
push it
range.
out off two cushions into a drop cannon position or another in off. In control here. Looks to be running it up and down a straight line now. Leaves reverse drop cannon, much less likely to get a cover here because the yellow ball's so far away from the cushion. But by the same token, more difficult to get it just right.
Yeah, he handled that nicely. Good for Michael just to have a little sequence here of
Yep.
3 or 4 hazards just to get the QR moving, you know.
Yep.
It's one of the difficult things to do is to come in straight at the top of the table.
Now that yellow's gone too straight,
Yep.
really. He wanted the in-off angle on that, and he hasn't got it. He's got screw cannons, but that's not pretty.
That's just a bit of a
Problematical.
signature Pearson shot, though.
It is.
17.
So that nicely, good pace.
Yep.
Probably
I've
going
got
off,
reasonable
off the yellow
position on
here.
the,
Soft screwing off this. Playing it with the right hand side. Doesn't need pocket side on that. In fact, that looked like plain ball. Alright, that went into the pocket. I'd like to have brought that up a bit further. Or alternatively a bit wider, or both. Yes.
You can bring this round off two cushions now and leave it on the opposite side in drop cannon position. Doesn't want it to travel too far. That's pretty good. Good pace control. Chips the red across. Didn't get quite enough of the red to push it right into the jaws, so I probably have to go in off again. Check side on this. Now that's gone into an
Yeah,
uncomfortable place.
Caught it a bit thick.
Yeah, caught it a bit thick, and now the red's come up too high for an easy loser. You can drive this in and out of balk and gather the balls together near the red.
This doesn't look good at all.
Don't go in. Oh dearie me.
That's the sort of thing that goes wrong.
Yep. When it goes wrong, it goes
You know,
wrong.
when you're struggling a bit, that's the sort of thing that happens. You know.
His two options here are to play the red pot, which I don't think he'd want to take on. Play the skinny and off, which I don't think he'll want to take on either, or to play the safety. Check side skinny and off.
Played that beautifully.
Played
thick,
it so well.
Yeah, thick run through. That was a great shot.
Thick run through with check
Dangerous
side.
because if he didn't get run through that perfectly, he was going to leave both balls out of walk for Steve, but he played it very well. He should be putting it straight into walk. And he is. Yeah.
So that's intentional, what he's done there, is to leave it in balk, because that's where it has to be eventually. Unfortunately, it's not in a great place.
He'd much prefer that to be
A little further
toward one side or
towards
the
one
other,
side or the other.
and a bit further off the ball cushion. He's going to have to play a good shot here to leave himself a
shot.
off. Yeah, just a little slow shot at the side off the thing. Hopefully leaving himself an in off the red. Looks as though he's done that pretty well.
Anyone, Ian Dale saying, anyone know Michael's highest competitive break? I don't, but I believe it's in the 300s.
Yes, that rings a bell with me, Pete. I think maybe in the New South Wales Championship he made a...
In leagues, I think he's made 300s. I don't believe he's made a 400 because I think only Joe in New South Wales amongst the current players, which probably also in New South Wales means all players ever, because Joe is, by record, the best billiards player we've ever produced.
that was a
with the
nice
exception,
result.
amongst the amateurs, not counting Horace Lindrum. And Melbourne probably wants to claim Horace as well, given that he lived here for a while. Or are you prepared to concede Horace as one of ours, Dave?
Sydney.
Sydney. Okay, right. Good. Fantastic. We've got one.
Learned everything in Melbourne, but no, Sydney.
Okay, yeah. Joe has a 400 plus break, and I don't think Mike has had one yet.
So, interesting shot there. He just put that down where he had two choices of going in. His primary choice is to go in off the white, which he's done, but he also hit it firmly enough for two reasons. One was to give himself an option on the red if he didn't quite get on the right line for the white, but also so that he had his hand on the table, didn't have to use the rest to go in off the white. So good billiards.
So I can play this thickishly, I think. Oh no, I'm
No,
wrong.
you want to take
Brings
it off.
it around.
Bring it around off the side. Better to go towards the trouble and then away from it rather
Yes.
than trying to...
Well, that's a difficult position around the pyramid spot. If you play the standard half ball, it runs along the cushion straight past the centre spot, and can be a bit tricky to get the right leave. So you are better to play it with spot it wider and play it with running side, or narrow and play it with check.
Oh, it's okay. Look, for a
That's-
moment he may
that's
have
okay
run
for a
through
good
that a
potter.
little bit, yeah.
Is yellow obscuring his potting line? Probably is.
I
So,
think you'll just be laying in for the cross loser here.
well, I think the cross loser's obscured too, so I think he'll play in off yellow
Let's
next.
see what happens. No, he's screwing up.
Screw or drag? No, screw to the cannon maybe. Wow. Just did not fancy that pot. Now, you would never see Michael attempt that shot in Sydney because he's playing into a bucket, but as I say, for our Sydney viewers, compared to what we used to, these pockets are tight. Just didn't want to trickle that red in and leave it over the pocket for Steve. Didn't get the movement on the red that he would have liked.
A little double kiss there. Which is very skinny, doesn't it?
Very fine.
May come around and have a look at the red here because he could be able to go in off this or maybe play a cannon
can.
The way he's playing, it probably looks as though it's going in off.
Steve Mifsud, 4.
Just a little thick.
Leanne says rivalry Melbourne versus Sydney. Leanne, you're not wrong. That's because I first met David 47 years ago when he was representing the University of Melbourne and I was representing the University of Sydney. We've been at it ever since.
It's a very friendly rivalry, though.
Oh, absolutely.
But a rivalry nonetheless.
A rivalry nonetheless. And
it was exemplified in an exchange we had last night where Peter expressed the opinion that he thought it'd be good if Michael could win the final because
that'd be good for the game.
good for
My
the game.
view was it was good for the game.
Good for the game. Good for New South Wales because they'd only had 2 winners in the last 20 years or so. I took the opportunity to point out to him that in fact
One of those winners was a Victorian.
aside from Phil Tarrant, who was from Victoria and moved to New South Wales, in fact New South Wales has only won 2 Australian nationals in the last 77 years.
Yeah.
Joe Manici winning both of those. So since 1935, it's been almost exclusively Western Australia through Bob Marshall and Matthew Bolton, or a succession of very fine Victorian billiard players. Tom Cleary, Jim Long, George Gaddam Jr., Phil Tarrant, Robbie Folvari, David Collins, Steve Mifsud.
All I'm hearing is blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
17.
And a couple of others that snuck in there. Max Williams, South Australia,
South
won
Australia.
in 1971. Danik Lucas
And again,
won from Queensland, won in the 90s. That's about
did
it.
Danik only win one?
One, yeah.
Yeah. Deserved to have won 10.
Was good enough.
Oh, Michael.
Danik was good enough to have won 10.
Yes. Talent-wise.
Yep.
Beautiful,
No,
soft touch.
beautiful player. Beautiful player.
soft touch.
Beautiful player.
Those air cannons, if you do get a chance, viewers, have a look on YouTube. Just type in Danik, D-A-N-I-K, Lucas, and you'll see sequences of air cannons where he has no hands on the table and makes long runs of nursery cannons without a hand on the table. It's quite something. And in fact, it was a little bit contentious amongst some of our referees who felt that they may not be legal shots.
Because?
Well, they changed the rules in snooker to prevent the intentional miscue. And they felt that when he was stroking upwards on the ball, that the cue wasn't going in the line of the shot.
Right, okay, yep.
So
it wasn't a fair shot. Yep.
It wasn't a fair shot, and they thought that they might have been caught under the change in the snooker ruling to say that you couldn't miscue. For the roll-up snooker, a lot of the snooker players were, if the ball was very close, taking the chalk off the cue, directly aiming at the edge of the cue ball, just to trickle it in behind an obscuring colour. So we were about to host the Sydney Open, and we knew that Danik had entered and Peter Gilchrist and others, and to prevent a scene at the event itself, we actually wrote away to Jan Verhaas, Director of Referees in the UK, with the video and said, give us your view. And he said, well, the cue is in the line of the shot. He's playing upwardly, but the cue is in the line of the shot. What we don't want is the ball squirting off the side of the cue, not on the line of the direction of play of the ball. So if that makes sense, you'll understand more if you see the videos.
So Jan declared it legal.
Jan declared it legal, and so we duly presented that ruling to the referees before the start of play and said, if he starts doing this, don't foul him.
Yep. So just going back to that topic of the winners from the other states. John Rees of Tasmania won the Australian Championship in 1974. Another one from the from outside the almost monopoly that Western Australia and Victoria had. It's not surprising, really, because when you consider that the big influence in Victoria, not just in his lifetime but beyond, was Walter Lindrum, the greatest player ever, and in Western Australia, Bob Marshall, the greatest amateur ever. So there's a strong
Yes.
strong parochial
Yes.
influence
You
there.
are actually claiming Walter as a Victorian. He wasn't. He was a West Australian, born and bred, Kalgoorlie, and Walter Albert because West Australia. That's how he was named. So nice try, but I'm not conceding Walter.
Well, born in Western Australia, yes.
Born in Western
Bred,
Australia?
no, because they moved from Western Australia when he was about 9. So,
Yeah, well, how long does it take to get bred, Dave?
well, bred in Billiards later than that. So, no. Very straight here. He's just having a think about whether he should run through this.
Okay, so we've had the definitive answer from statistician extraordinaire David McMahon from the Hornsby Club, who keeps all the records in Sydney. Michael had a 316 in Sydney Interclub Billiards in 2014. I mean, it's surprising he hasn't had more because he's had so many big ones in the 200s, regularly getting 200s, but not going on with it much past that.
This is nice to hear for Steve. That white just rolled on a fraction
Smashed
further
it.
than he would have liked, but he just passed across the face of these and then come back. So twice across here to just
Once.
once,
Oh,
and then twice.
Got a
It's
little
okay.
bit too much red and
That's
not enough
fine,
white,
just-
did he?
Just,
It's trickier than it looks.
yeah, maybe this isn't on. Maybe he's going to slip around the back. So
Well, the double kiss cannon is
Yeah.
on, but it's off the cushion, so it makes it a little bit more
I'm
problematic.
just thinking,
It's
screw this.
screwing
And
off.
use the jaws.
Screw
Through
cannon.
cannon, just using the jaw to bring the white back behind the spot. He's done that pretty nice. A little bit, perhaps a little. That's good. That's good. Just walking around to have a look. The correct angle for the cannon from white to red in the next shot.
So Ian Dale says, are we talking boys only? In what context, Ian? Help us out here, I don't understand the question.
49.
Hi Pete, you and David are so funny. Well, funny to look at, I suppose.
Yes, Leanne, Harold Roberts Thompson and Ted Pickett and John Rees, all great, great Tasmanian cures, some lovely, lovely people. I met all of them, and
Yes.
they were a pleasure to be with.
Now Leanne, I think you're a Tasmanian.
I think Leanne is a Tasmanian. And
So why are you barracking for the Vics? I thought the Tasmanians, the Taswegians, didn't like the Vics, like the rest of the country.
no, I don't think Leanne is showing any bias towards
She
Victoria.
was. She was saying Melbourne wins. Rather, never mind Melbourne wins.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
right. Well, she's a very knowledgeable person, Leanne.
Yeah.
She knows an awful lot about the game. And,
Clearly,
it's a
didn't
great.
spend enough time in Sydney.
She's lived in Victoria for a while. Hello, Leanne. And she's a real lover and supporter of the game. Often comes over here
Yes.
for the championships and spent a large part of her life in and around the game. Married to Ron Atkins.
Yes, I did meet her when she was here. Lovely lady.
69.
So once again, Steve, just sort of working the balls is a polite way of putting it. This is
Oh,
yeah,
Victorian at heart, she says.
Yeah, that's good. This is a courageous shot. This slow and thin.
Yeah.
He's played that well.
He has.
Just so easy for the average player to catch that red a bit thick and just send it up the side cushion. But Steve played that slow with drag and running side. The running side just taking the ball away from the red to ensure a thin contact. Lovely controlled shot from distance.
He's got an angle now where he could come through and play the cannon below the white, but the problem is that he might get too much pace in the red. It's almost
might
full.
just try and bunch them together here. No, he's going
come
up
around
that way.
the other way.
Okay.
Okay, well, he'll have to go up again. Come away from top. Reverse side on this. Played it with left-hand side, but the ball spins to the right when it comes off the cushion. So run through here for either a red loser or even better in off the white if he's confident with it. Or is he just looking to be very conservative and play the cannon?
I think he's just going to stay in the middle of the table and play a cannon.
Yep. Safer. So now he's hoping to get under the white and lift it a little towards the
key
pocket.
issue there is thin on the red. He's hit that beautifully. Just thin and slow on the red
Yes.
to keep it near the top cushion but not on the top cushion.
So now got a position to get in off the white when he needs to. So this isn't strict top of the table. He's still at the top end of the table, but not what we'd call classical top of the table. But he's got a position to reform that now. Just keeping the score going. 88 now. No balkline warning, Dave, in this tournament. Only level 4 and level 5 WBL events have the balkline crossing.
Yes, it's not clear to me when they dropped the balkline rule for billiards. It used to be that professionals had to cross the balkline every 200 points and amateurs under every 400 points. So all Bob Marshall's big breaks were made.
Can you imagine? Amateurs have to cross every 400 points. We're talking about Mike Pearson.
So
he's never made one.
Yeah. So if you look at the raw figures, Bob Marshall's breaks are very comparable in size and quantity to Matthew Bolton's, but Bob had the disadvantage of playing for most, if not all, of his career under the balkline rule, which required him to cross not very often, but at least once in those big breaks. Whereas Matthew's played all of his career in the Australian national billiards without a balkline rule, so not a big difference.
So you're saying some of the records
they're not directly comparable.
Right, okay.
And there are different
What's he
change.
played there?
I've got no idea. Absolutely no idea. Smash cannon by the look of it.
But what position was he playing? Just
No idea.
he was wrong-sided on the red, so I guess he just had to
decided to
make something up.
He just decided to go on. Looks like and bring them
Well,
straight
okay.
straight back for nurseries. Why
So
not?
that's the answer.
Yeah.
I just didn't know, but there's the answer. He knew what was happening there.
What a tremendously controlled shot that was. To
Incredible.
send the red all the way around the table, right back into the corner where he was. Look at that, two shots.
Two
back at
shots to the top.
It's a,
Now I would have never figured that out.
it's a very innovative
Yeah.
shot. A little
Genius.
sequence he played there. Sort of shot you can play when you're 400 in front.
Sure.
Approaching 500.
So underneath the white now, so red cushion white with check side.
14.
Knocks it back to level with the horizontal line through the spot. Then comes back up high this time and plays a cannon back, which corrects the white. Oh, he's come up too high.
You have to come off the either in off the red or
Yep.
cannon off the top wall. Looks like it's going in off.
Yes, went up too high on that one. Previous shot.
Putting quite wide here, playing it with running side.
22.
Purpose of that all is to bring the red across to the left-hand side of the table as we look at it.
So
Worked out pretty well.
Red cushion white.
Might be careful not to pot the red. Yeah, nice shot.
So this time he's underhit it.
Yep.
The last time he overhit it. Similar shot. But he can run through here to make the cannon and keep the white at this top end of the table. Or he can pot red and come up high.
Possibly a skinny cannon.
29.
Very thin.
Need to hit that harder. Harder would have
Would have
brought
pushed
him
the
back
red,
to the left,
yeah.
brought the red a little bit further
Yeah.
out where he could have had a shot off the red. Sending the red into baulk and back again. This is another touch shot.
31.
Which I think he's overhit.
No,
Oh, we've got a draw.
no, he hasn't.
Good shot.
And that's why they call this shot the MIFSUD in Melbourne, is that he manages to make that cannon and bring that red back very, very reliably.
I thought he was a bit lucky there, Peter, just catching the jaw. Then if he was only a half an inch
Yep.
more to the left,
Yeah,
that
you're
would
right.
have gone out of play.
You're right, but it worked.
Yep.
I love the fact that in this commentary, a couple of idiots get to criticise these great champions.
Yeah.
Oh, dearie me, no, it's a terrible shot, just lucky there. Well, it all worked perfectly.
So we've just been chatting here, and meanwhile Steve is up to 134
Yeah,
and has stretched the lead out over 500, which is,
yeah,
alarm bells for Michael. He
Yeah.
basically needs to occupy the table for most of the rest of the match to
yeah,
80% of the remaining time to
yeah. And that ain't
to
going to
get back
happen,
in.
is it,
Yeah.
really?
Well, realistically, no.
And this is the criticism of timed matches where you've got something which is lopsided. It can make it, it's still fascinating viewing in terms of the production of the shots and so forth, but in terms of a contest, it can be well over before the bell sounds.
Yeah. Oh, Rod, there you are.
Hey, Rob. So a rare counter-error from Paul Cosgrove. I think he made one in 1962, didn't he, David?
He was still in nappies then.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
Oh,
had a bit of a lash there.
he did.
But,
A little bit more
a
power.
lovely 143 break there from Steve. His second century of the final, following his 237 in the first session. He's now pushed his lead out over 500, 534 points to be precise, and things not looking great. I'm going to step out of the commentary box now, and delighted that stepping in instead of me is multiple Victorian champion and semi-finalist in this championship, Rod Nelson, Victoria.
Okay. Thanks, Dave. It's in, and he's sitting the half ball line as well. So there you go. Clean living. Welcome, Rod. Welcome, Rod.
Thank you. Yeah. Welcome to everyone.
So are these the
Yeah.
two finalists that you expected to see?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And I won't lie, the two blokes who knocked me off the two tournaments that I played in.
Right, okay. So which one do you hate less?
Oh, it's nothing to do with hate at all. No, that's a lovely pace there from.
Oh, well, unfortunately, the
it
red's
just
gone.
needs to go in and out of baulk, I'd say.
Yep.
But it is a matter of pace.
Yep, that's
I
very
think
good.
that's. Yeah, he would prefer a pot red. He's got reverse drop.
Yes. But there really wasn't a bad position within 2 feet of the ball running there.
Always finish on the red. It's most important. That's what can happen. Up. That's okay. All right. We'll call that plan B.
Well, yeah, I mean, in billiards you've got to have a plan A, plan B, and sometimes a plan C. Because that's a great shot there. So he's got both balls into workable positions now. Bit chancy there. And that's come up a bit red.
That's fine if he can leave himself a cannon here.
To follow this one, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah. Keep coming, keep coming. A little frustrated. Another inch or two there would have made all the difference.
I'm not sure exactly the angle. You could play a 5-shot.
You could. You could.
To get the yellow into play. Yeah.
Now that's
it
come
gets
up
trickier.
short.
Yeah, you can tell by his reaction.
Now, having said that, it's a big pocket with the yellow just sitting there, isn't it?
It's also a jaw.
It's a big target. It's a jaw.
Also
There's a jaw in between them.
Good, yes. And now it's coming off the rail.
Yes. So the lead grows.
Yeah, at this stage, Michael just needs to find that perfect combination of just having fun and determination.
Yeah.
You know, just enjoy yourself and do the best you can.
Well, he's
to try and get yourself back into the game. Steve hasn't put him away because he only made a lovely break at the start and a lovely break recently, but he certainly hasn't put him away. That's a nice leave.
That's a nice leave. So which one do you play first?
Oh,
White,
yellow.
white to the spot.
Right
Yellow
behind-
to the
right
spot, of
behind the
course.
spot, and thank you, mother, for the rabbits. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't see it that way. Maybe the angle was
Mate,
wrong.
well, yeah, you can never exactly tell if he could have rolled in or not, but
Yeah.
that's all right. You can set up a drop cannon from this.
Yes, he can. Fine on the red with a little running side.
Yep.
We'll bring it out to the middle of the
Perfect.
table. And there it is. So he needs...
Always better to leave it there than the actual red spot because you can
Yes.
finish on the red better and you're guaranteed not to leave a cover.
Yes. Well, when you say guaranteed
Jeez.
not to leave a cover, I got caught out on that yesterday. I said exactly the same thing as you. You're guaranteed from this position not to leave a cover. Well, there you go. It's a cover. But no, it is
just
harder to get a
on.
cover. You're right. It's less
Thank you, Michael,
chancy.
for almost making me wrong.
So that was on the spot. So Michael's actually brought this up into a cannonable position where he can actually regather the balls at top. Write down this shot for those of you who are learning the game. Oh, he's missed it.
I was going to say, I think it needed to play off the top rail.
Oh, dear
Yeah.
me. Yeah, he was up too high.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
just above the line of his
Unfortunately, what is left is
lots.
bad. Very, very bad.
Yes. Just above the line from the centre pocket to the pyramid spot is where you want to be when your opponent's ball is occupying the spot. And then you've got a choice of shots. Michael, in that case, tried to push the red over the corner pocket. A good choice, but a better shot is actually to gather the balls
At the top
if you're on the right,
end.
if you're on the right line. That he didn't want that double kiss, but it hasn't
Oh
happened in
no,
this
it's worked
case.
out perfect. It's right behind the spot.
Yes, it is. On the bottom of the line, the Lindrum line.
The right hand side player, ironically.
Yes.
Now, Steve's been playing floating white, but to be honest, he's actually better at postman's knock, I find.
Yeah, well, I was talking to him in 2019, and he said he likes to play postman's knock with the ball off centre.
Yeah.
I don't
he's
understand
very good at postman's.
Like, I mean, doesn't that make it... I mean, most players play it with the ball directly behind the spot because then they can access it from either side. Aren't you restricted to having to be very accurate on both sides unless it's right behind the spot?
Not if it's a new cloth, because you can easily get spin. Certainly on the well, from where we look, the right-hand side of the table for a right-hander,
Yes,
it's easier to play it on that side.
yes. You're not queuing around your body.
Yeah. And you don't need to use the rest.
Yeah. So slip over the top of the white here. Oh, no, this time slip over the top of the white.
29.
And knock it back down. Five shot, you don't see that very often, top of the tab.
No.
Screw cannon.
Yeah, the only problem with
Oh,
those,
that was actually nicely played.
I was going to say you're moving the white away from the spot. That's
Yeah.
the only issue with that. I'd
So-
recommend the red loser because that way you get the
Yeah.
white loser from hand.
Sure.
Yeah.
So red in the middle, still workable. But as Rod said, white loser from hand now.
That's not what I would have done.
No, that's a bit narrow, and it looks like the red might even be obscuring his
Yeah.
line to the white ball.
Honestly, the best shot from here is a dead pace cushion cannon.
Well, it looks like that.
Yep.
Yep. So white now in
Now
good
he's got a choice.
position for in
Yeah.
hand.
And the white loser again is from hand after
Yep.
going in off this red.
Yep. So chose to go the thick way there. So that's given him a choice now. He can
Yep.
play reverse
he can
drop
play.
cannon.
Yep.
And he's probably best to do that to get the red into a
Just
playable
gather
position.
them at the top end.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just trickle into them. No, he doesn't see it that way. He's crossed the red over.
Mm.
But still, balls in the open.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with this.
This time it's not a white loser from hand. It's a bit too thick, so he's got
Yep.
to control the red. And that's fine. Into the magic circle.
I always thought it's actually a magic kidney, not a magic circle. Look at the shape
I always
of where
think
the
of
balls are
there's
on.
a second magic circle around the pyramid spot.
Yeah,
I love that place because it just allows you to do
whatever you want.
positionally whatever you want. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
Oh, the saver cannon, but that's
Yeah.
not what he played.
I think
He
he
was
played
playing the red
I honestly think he played a five shot.
Yeah, it looked like
which
he
I
played a
never
five shot.
recommend
No,
for that very reason.
yeah,
It only works if you get one part right. I mean,
yeah. Well, they say play for two, get none. Oh, look at the turn on that cloth. Beautiful.
my apologies to a New South Wales bloke. We get spin here.
So you do. I've noticed it's been confusing the life out of me, actually. It's like sometimes I've noticed what happens here in Victoria is if you hit the bottom of the ball, it comes back towards you. I mean,
yeah.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible what happens.
Yeah. Well, I think he's got if he plays it nice and soft, he'd have a one cushion cannon.
Mm-hmm.
That way he can control the red. If he hits it hard, well,
Turn.
that's better.
Yep, that's nice.
Nice and soft.
Oh, except for the cover.
Yeah. He's got a little bit of
I
run
think he
through
can
here.
make
To
the
run
run
through
through.
cannon.
Where red goes towards the corner, he has to make
Ironically,
sure
almost a 5-shot, but I think the red will come back actually
yeah,
to where they are now.
he's got to make sure he hits
Yep.
enough of the yellow to get it out of the way.
Yep,
This
he's
is all fine.
Just finished balk side of middle to play a yellow loser.
No, topside.
Sorry, outside.
Too far.
Yeah, too far.
Now it's
yeah.
now it's one of those things
Well-
you do in Victoria, that backspin thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't do that in New South
Straight in
Wales.
the guts.
Yeah.
It's just dead pace. It'll just drop in. That's it.
Doesn't want the jaw.
Ooh.
Yucky.
No, he can still hit it. It's not great, but he can still hit it.
Hey, great finger
doesn't
spin there
count as a
from
second
Michael
in off.
Pearson.
Oh, that'll be a very difficult can to judge from yellow to red. On a new cloth. Oof.
So Grant Meadley's suggesting that
Excellent shot.
he needs to bring his
Perfect.
golf clubs to play at some of
Beautiful shot.
the clubs in Sydney. Got his 5-wood in the case, okay. Rod, you had a great
So
tournament.
did we work out who was the champion who'd never lost? Because
Well,
I put my suggestion in.
what was your suggestion?
A bloke from 19, I think he won like the second.
Oh,
and
Jay
third.
Belfield?
Yeah.
Yeah, from Sydney. That was good. And look, there may be more than one answer, but
It might be hard to tell, to be honest, 'cause I'm not sure how many records there are kept from,
yes, and
let's call it back in the day.
back in the day. Well, the answer that I was thinking of was the correct answer, according to me, is in fact Robbie Foldvari. Only entered twice and won it twice.
In 1982 and 83, something like that, I think it might
Somewhere
have been.
thereabouts,
Yeah.
yes. So didn't lose a round robin match, and if he won the tournament, obviously he didn't lose a knockout match either. So that's quite a record. And then
Robbie was here the other day.
I had dinner with
chatted
him, and
Yeah.
so the reason that I know that he didn't lose a match is that he was insistent on telling me.
Well, that's
So
how
we
you
had
know
dinner
it's
with
right.
dinner with Todd and Robbie, and he was regaling us with wonderful stories, and that is quite a record to have never lost a match in your home national championship. And I guess that came about because Robbie joined that tournament after he was a fully formed professional. He didn't work his way through the ranks as a kid. He developed so quickly, so young,
Good place.
that he turned professional
Sorry.
at a young age and only entered the tournament again when he was allowed to, having been a WPBSA professional. So that may not be replicated again. These days, to play at this level of competition, play well, you
Yeah,
need to
with
work your way
Q
through
school
like
and
Josh.
stuff, yeah.
So you play
Yeah.
through the juniors. It's a
Yeah.
pretty well-established pathway
Q
these
school
days.
and all that, yeah.
So, in
Nice shot.
in terms of Australian events, you'd work your way through the juniors and then state level tournaments, and then eventually join the nationals, which is, say, what young Josh Burns has done. And hasn't he had a great tournament, Rod?
Yeah, I was talking to Josh the other day. It's ever so slightly unfortunate that in Tassie he doesn't have enough competition to
Yes.
get into what he could be as a player. I mean, it's one thing playing solo, but you
Yeah.
need to practice against good players to get your game match toughened.
Well, it's an incredible story. I mean, he's living on the north coast of Tassie in
Yeah.
virtual isolation, without serious billiards players around him, and he's
Yeah.
learnt to play off YouTube and from books.
Yeah.
You go, well, that's incredible. More power to him. Okay, this is good for Mike to be playing a few repetitive losers in the middle pocket, get a bit of a feel for it. play himself in.
And just looking at that now, reverse drop cannon.
Yes, now he's got reverse drop cannon.
Always important to finish on the red. Always
Yes.
the red. That's fine. Yep. 2 balls in front of him. That's what you want.
Yeah. 2 ways to play this, thick or thin. Or indeed off the cushions.
3 ways.
3 ways to play this. Rod, let me tell you, there are 3 ways to play this. The 2 ways that I know and another way that only he knows. Don't get tangled up.
Yes, the thing with the running side, it was always going to bring it closer to the pocket.
Yes.
You might be able to bring this closest to the red. Not quite, I don't know. Well, it's still fine though. I think you can play the cannon. Again, all about finishing on the red.
Has he? He's not fairly
Well,
finished
we'll
on
find out
anything.
how his
Yeah.
potting is.
Yeah. Well, generally he's a good potter. He's got that kind of snooker stance and
Yeah.
very deliberate, same as Steve MIFSUD.
Well, you will get position if you pot it.
Sure.
Either cannon, yellow loser, red loser. So you just got to think, I'm potting this ball. That's it.
Yep.
Got the yellow loser.
Or the cannon.
60.
Yellow loses a forcer. The control shot's the cannon.
Just wonder if he needs a little bit of check to play us off the top rail.
I think he will play off the top rail, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
He needs a
And
touch of
it's
check.
it's worth noting that this table doesn't squirt as much as others do.
Right. So he's still got under it a bit too much. That's okay. But he would have preferred to boot it a little bit more towards the pocket.
Again, one good pot red and you're just fine.
Coming around to check the angle and see whether that red squeezes past the yellow into the corner pocket. I think it does. Bit hard to tell from our angles.
To be honest, honestly they go a bit further, the yellow loser to leave a drop cannon would actually be better.
Now, you mean?
Yep.
Screw,
Pot the red
screw loser?
and come
yeah, I'll
out
come
and
out, yeah.
leave the yellow
think you're
loser
right.
to leave a
I
drop
think
cannon.
you're
Yeah.
right. Didn't see it
He's
that
played
way.
for the cannon. That's fine.
No, I think he's played for the pot and then come up for the in off the yellow shortly. Hard to tell. I've got a bad track record of predicting. Well, now it's got to be pot red, leave the loser. Red will go to the middle
He's
spot.
left a little bit of an angle here, so he may be
Is he
going
playing
back
the
to what
yellow?
I've said in the first place.
No,
the,
it has to be
the
stun
thin
pot.
cannon.
Stun pot red.
I'm pretty sure he's
No,
going to thin
he used the
cannon.
thin cannon. You're
Yeah.
right.
70.
Well, to my mind, that was a.
That's fine. Long stuff, self drop cannon.
No, I think you can. Yeah, long stuff. I mean, if it was Gilchrist, he'd just reach across, wouldn't he?
I'm 6'1", I couldn't reach that with a broomstick.
So bring it up into
All
drop
about
cannon
pace.
position.
Yep, lovely.
That'll do.
Now this one you want to double kiss that red.
So you want to be landing full
Yeah.
on the red?
Yeah.
72.
3/4 ball, double kiss, push it towards the pocket.
Isn't it a bit more chancy with the double kiss?
74.
That's why I prefer the double kiss, because the white would stay there and leave
Yes.
an easier pot red.
Yes. So, running side,
76.
push the red across. Okay,
Yeah,
76. This is a
he's still in
valuable
position,
contribution.
That's fine.
This
That's
is
fine.
a valuable contribution. Stay there, Michael. Stay there. We all want to see a match.
Oh, Michael.
Oh, I've put the moz on him. I should have shut up.
I don't think
pretty
you
sure
missed
they
the
heard
shot,
me out of
Peter.
No, I'm pretty sure they heard me out there. I mean, I'm supporting him.
I'm pretty sure we're quiet enough that that didn't happen. Yeah. Oh, that was
Oh,
that was
what a delicate
that
little
was a
shot
nice
that was.
break from Michael.
Yeah. Should give
Everything
him
was
a
lovely, and just until that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good control. It was just a lapse in
Yeah.
concentration. I mean, this is a long
And that's
match.
what happens, and what you end up doing is exactly
Yep.
what I did yesterday. You leave Steve up
Yep. So I mean,
and cop that.
get this up here. So we're 3.5 hours in. I mean, man alive, this is tough.
Yeah.
You know, I can't concentrate for more than a minute and a quarter. And these guys have been at it for 3.5 hours. Incredible, the concentration, focus.
That hasn't worked well.
No, would have liked to have caught that white full.
Yeah, he wanted to push the white
Bang it out to the
towards
middle of the table.
pyramid spot.
Yeah.
That is actually tricky. That's either very, very thick or very, very thin.
Yeah, and risks of double kisses everywhere, and
Or you just pot the white.
Oh, it was a run
He was
through.
hoping for the best.
Yeah.
And push the red forwards and
Yeah.
hope for the best. But
Yeah.
what he's left, ironically, is even friendlier than what Michael left him. Yeah.
Yep. So, for those of you newish to billiards, and I can't imagine there are an awful lot of you, but you can see they're constantly just working this half ball angle, which is the key to all billiards. Oh, bugger.
He's played the Rod Nelson shot.
Wants it touching.
That's my usual drop cannon.
Wants it
yeah.
touching. Yes, it's touching. Thank you so much. So you play for a touching ball, right? Is that what you're telling
No,
me?
I'm not Walter.
No, Walter did play for a touching ball. Yeah.
Yeah, the ball was in the pocket.
Yeah.
And he was
Yeah.
on about 250. Sorry, 2,500.
Yeah,
That'll do.
played
I
to
just,
leave a touching
yeah.
ball. Now,
Oh dear.
oh dear.
I didn't, no, he's played another Rod Nelson shot.
So effectively
pace.
just the break off
Good
shot.
pace. Because sometimes you can crack it after making a mistake like that and leave your opponent up.
Yes,
But he did the correct thing and played a decent shot.
yeah.
Steve's just going to go in or over, I suggest.
I think he might attack this because the red's
Hmm?
in a position that he has to either score it or move it. Yeah, all good. Now right-hander, can he reach
lean
across?
over? Yeah.
I think he can, yeah. Look at the way he fits around the table. He's so elegant. It's just scary.
Shot. He's screwed back nice, yeah. In fact, he's actually screwed back too much.
Yeah.
No,
Well, he's got the white in great
wide
shape.
over, Yeah.
All about pace here, crossing it across the table. If he gets it up high enough, there's really no bad place to be, unless you're right on the cushion. It's betwixt and between here.
Yeah, he would have preferred to finish wider out and leave
Yeah.
an in off to set up a drop cannon.
Though. Yes.
I
Looks
think
like
he's
going-
looking at
looking
this
the
to
narrow way
play.
there, isn't he? Now he's
That's
looking
either
at
thick or
check side.
thin.
Yeah, it is. So,
Thin leaves the white closer to the red, but you have to hit it soft.
oh, feathers it. That works.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think he's got the red loser,
I think he does.
and obviously it's worth noting the white isn't great from hand, so he needs to pot the red and come down here to leave a white loser.
Yes. I mean, we're constantly doing this in billiards, is figuring out the kind of interim goal of saving one ball.
Yeah,
or
and
getting
in
it
this
to shape.
situation, you have
Yep.
two options. Do you play at the white loser to leave the red on the spot, which he is doing, or do you put it twice off the spot and then leave it on
Come
the
up,
middle
yeah.
spot? Either of which has justification.
Yep. And that's the great thing about billiards, is that there's choices.
See, the thing is, I mean, if you have gone that way after potting the red twice, it'd be a long, lovely loser from hand on the red.
Mm. So he looks to be spotting wide,
Yeah,
to
it's just-
bring the white around off two cushions to the spot. Can't quite get it there at the right pace.
Again,
but
what he did, and the main thing is he finished on the red.
yes.
Always priority one. I think that might be blocking the pot
Looks
red.
like it, doesn't
yeah.
it? Overcooked that, so come into a difficult place. Screw cannon.
I think he's playing the lazy 5-shot.
Yes.
7.
Yeah.
2 out of 5 ain't bad. Isn't that what Meatloaf said?
White to red.
He could, if it's touching the cushion, he could almost play
Yeah,
it as a
it's-
screw back.
I'd say cannon.
Yeah, a screw back cannon, I meant.
No, I mean off the rough. Like that.
Yep, that's all
That's it.
good. In fact, it's
And
now
yeah,
good.
everything's fine. And it's worth noting the white is in drop cannon position.
So he could play a 6-shot here.
Like that.
No.
And then just go in off the red and in off the red again and send it back towards the red spot.
Yep. Or try and set up the 6-shot here. It's an
The
option
risk
now.
with this is if you just
you
miss
miss,
it, you can leave
You're
a cover.
obscured, yeah.
Yeah. You can pot it and screw back 6 inches.
Yep, for the drop cannon. I mean, if he's feeling
That-
confident, he's...
Having said that, I think there's a little gap. If he plays at dead
Yep.
pace and he doesn't quite get it,
He's looking
I
at
think
it.
there's he'll still be able to play the red loser.
I don't think he's lined it up straight as. He looks like he's
Oh,
lined it
please
up for a
don't tell me you're
5-shot.
playing the 5-shot,
Don't
Steve.
play the 5-shot.
For God's sake, Steve, don't play the 5-shot.
Played the 5-shot, but sat the
The
line
problem with,
perfectly.
I mean, it's a nice shot, but you don't, I mean, you've got the red loser, but you're not going to, yeah. I mean, he'll have a white loser after this anyway, so that's fine.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm not a fan.
No, this is... he's just playing some open billiards. I mean, we talk about how to get to top, and he's just elected not to at the moment. He's enjoying tooling around in the middle of the table. So now he sets up drop cannon off this.
Yep, that's perfect.
Slow down, slow down, slow
No,
down.
it's fine.
That's good.
Yeah.
Rod, what's your view about which side of the red you should be hitting with this?
Always running. Yeah, in Victoria, because it otherwise the white ends up that side of the table.
So which
So running
part of the
side.
red are you aiming
Oh,
to hit?
straight in
the
the guts.
inside, straight in the guts, or the outside?
between the object ball and the red. Just a direct straight line
Yep.
to push it off the top rail and bounce out more than it has here.
Yes. Playing the cannon, I think. No.
Yeah, because
Confident.
that
with
went
the pot.
in, but that's missable.
Yep. Unless you're Steve. So Robbie used to play to the outside of the red ball on the basis that it was less likely he'd get a cover and he'd still have the balls gripped at top.
Oh, that's why I prefer to sort of manufacture a drop cannon, if you like, sort of between the red and the pyramid spot because you won't leave a cover that way.
Yes. Instead of just being on the spot.
Yeah. Because it's harder to finish on the red if it's on the spot. Whereas
Correct.
out in the open, you can push it towards the pocket, guaranteed
Yep.
not to leave a cover.
Yep.
60.
Of course, that's what I said earlier.
Yeah,
Almost
so a fraction
left
off a cover. And what I said yesterday.
Technically, I was right.
Technically, absolutely. Got to take those wins. I mean, this is hard to predict at the best of times. And
Yes.
each of these players will.
Didn't want to make the commentators curse now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's potting well now, Steve.
He really
wasn't
is.
queuing well on a week ago.
Wasn't he?
No,
Well,
absolutely not.
he-
It's taken him a week to get good, and now he's just fine.
He struggled in Sydney at the Mounties Club at
Yep.
the international they had there.
He won that. I think it was
No,
against...
Ryan Thompson won it.
Oh, so, no, he
Yeah.
won the other one
Yeah.
against Vajharia,
Yes.
I believe, yes. And
71.
And Mounties has lots of pictures of Steve's face on the wall, 10 feet high. That might be quite off-putting too if there's picture. Well, it'd be off-putting for everyone if there are pictures of me. But if you're a
I've got
player,
a lovely one at my local club.
have you?
I hate to think it was off-putting to anyone.
Well, I used to keep a picture of myself on the mantelpiece over the fireplace to keep the kids away from the fire.
78.
I hate to think I'm fireplace scary. Just playing this to set up a drop can. Yep.
Yeah, so Grant Meadley's adding detail to what I said. Four pics of Steve on the Steve MIFSUD wall at Mounties Club, along with Bob Hawke, the former Australian Prime Minister.
85.
So fewer pictures of Bob Hawke and smaller ones.
I think
Steve's the
a
hero.
red loser here to pot the red and come back down for top.
Yes. So now he can just control this, come down more or less straight down the table towards us, and he only has to control the pace. A lot of players prefer to play that on and off the cushion because they can hit the
Yeah,
red with a bit
I
more
personally
authority.
do, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's-
sometimes it depends upon the table.
If you're trickling
know,
the ball in, it feels delicate and nervy.
Yeah.
But if you feel you can play just a medium pace shot, it's a bit easier, more in your comfort zone.
Yeah, I feel you've got a smidge more control if you
Yeah.
come off the top rail. Because otherwise you can drift past the shot.
Indeed.
99.
You might have to screw back here and place, yeah.
Yep. Was that one off the spot?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So reverse side here, bit close to the spot.
And he's put a little bit too much juice on that.
He's almost sitting the half ball line, but it's hard to see when you're so close.
Nah, he'll just be going one good pot.
Yep.
And boom.
Yep.
105.
Mind you, he's set up the same
This is
issue.
such a weapon for him. He's such a good potter. You get into trouble and you just drill a pot.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
108.
Same again.
Yeah.
He's actually got postman's knock. But,
I think this is the old Leslie Driffield method
yeah.
of how to play top. Just get it behind the spot
Yeah.
and just
Tom
pot
Rees.
the red 14 times.
Yeah, it's Tom Rees. You know, sit the spot and play the repetitive spot stroke.
I think he'll be going a red loser into the middle here,
I think so.
just to mix things up.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably frustrating him because he's got that white trapped on the rail there and he can't
Nope.
get at it. Okay, now he can. Okay, now he's
It's still short, I think.
got... let's see.
Oh no, a little. Well, I think it is a smidge.
Well,
Yeah.
he might come off the outside, the right of the white as we're looking at it, but that'd be no bad thing. Knock it back up to the spot.
16.
Leant on it. So.
Yeah.
But now he's gold.
Now, our referee seems to have forgotten that we've put tapes on the... Oh, he's just looked down, seen the tape on the floor and moved out of the way. Oh, right. That's a thing under my feet there. Oh, yes, people want to watch
It
on
is
cameras.
challenging for the referee
Oh,
because
it's-
where he's standing right now is
It's the
where
right
you stand
place.
all the time.
It's the right place to
You
be.
know,
It's the right place to be
it's-
unless you've got a camera set up
Yeah,
there and you're viewing people
it is
online.
annoying.
It's
for him. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, but just, I mean, these billiards referees are working so hard. It's not like snooker where there are long breaks and long bouts of safety.
Yeah.
He's plucking balls out of the pocket. He's calling out the score. He's adding up the break, and he's counting limitation
And
of
you've
red
got to write
pots.
things on the board and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's counting
Having
limitation of
said
red
that,
spots.
I'm pretty sure Gavin might be in the corner doing the
Garvin
scoreboard.
Gray, he
Sorry,
is.
Garvin.
Garvin is doing the
Yeah.
scoreboard.
That makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. Now this is classic postman's knock. Double tap on the white so that the yellow ball bounces back. And it's really all about getting the
35.
right angle coming in. He's a bit too low here. I have to come around off 2 cushions, I think.
Nope.
Oh no, the
No.
white was off centre.
No.
This is what he was saying. He likes playing this
Yeah.
white
As I said,
off centre.
Postman's knock is his
Yeah.
bread and butter. He's brilliant at it.
Now look at this.
Little
This is-
alternation. Yeah, he's not far shy of Geet Sethi level of this.
That's a big call. Get
Oh, I
out
know that,
1200.
but Geet loved Postman's.
Oh, he
and
did.
He loves Postman's.
He did.
Steve loves Postman's.
So here's what he was saying. So we get to observe this up close. Look at the pace he's hit that with
Yeah.
to double it across. Oh
Bang.
my God.
That's what I mean.
Oh my God. What a shot.
The only annoying thing about that is he's moved the white off the rail a little bit.
Well, he can tap it back down again if he wants. He's just got to land on it softly.
145.
But yes, that's the kind of shot he can do.
That's a crazy shot. It's brilliant. But I've never seen anyone prefer to play postman's knock off centre.
Until now.
Until now. Good to be seeing new things.
Nice and gentle here. That's it. Just a half ball cannon. Might be able to flick this towards the spot. No, he just played dead post.
Yes, look, there he goes. He's tapped it back down to postman's
Yeah.
knock. So Grant Meadley tells us he's currently building a racing go-kart and enjoying the background commentary. Are you telling me that you're not giving us your full and undivided attention, Grant?
You mongrel, Grant.
So just bail out of that. He's taking a little rest here. You know, he's been playing top. So now he's just
Just one little
Play some
loser
open
here
play.
and just bang. One.
thick with running side, that one.
Geez, I tell you what, Paul was blocking that a little bit. That only just went in.
Yeah, it did. He used that running side, left-hand side in that
Yeah.
case, off the far jaw as pocket side to suck that ball in. This is devastating
Yeah.
for Michael Pearson.
Yeah.
Devastating. He just looks in total control now. An hour to go. Been playing 4 hours. Starting to become...
The simple fact is, Michael can't win. I think we can all agree on that.
I think we can agree on
He just needs to try and make 100, if you can. Just try and make 100.
Yep.
If you get a chance. You know. Keep it simple. You know, we all know percentage doesn't count, so it's not a pennant match. So just try your best.
Of course. Mike doesn't know any other way.
Yeah. It can be annoying when you know you're going to lose as a competitive player, but all you can do is just have fun and
Yeah.
Just do the best you can.
And it's great fun. I mean, this is just
Oh,
great fun.
it's been 3 years.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
been
yeah.
3 years. It's
Yeah, I know, it's
fantastic.
fantastic fun.
I've really enjoyed catching up with people.
Yeah.
You know, it's just great.
Oh, we all have, you know, because I mean, the thing about the
Yeah.
billiards players is that there's a genuine community.
Oh, there certainly is.
That
And that
doesn't
community
exist.
hasn't existed.
Yeah.
He's playing the cannon here.
Slip through cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a red loser.
So he had them tied at top, but he's taken a little holiday from that, you know. So maybe that's how you keep your concentration. Mix it up a little bit of open billiards, a little bit of top of the table. At the moment, it's looking like he can score at will.
Ball line crossed.
Ball line crossed. Why not?
187.
Why did he play that shot? Because he can.
Well, here the correct shot is to pot the red, but
Yes.
the cannon's a hell of a lot easier.
Cannon's
so
a
I
lot of
guess
these. Every club player in the country would be playing cannon red to white. But you're right, the correct
I can
shot
think
is-
of some people who'd play the pot white.
That's right.
No offence to David Pitt.
That's right. You know, I'll be watching the recording later. He always watches his own recordings later.
It wasn't by accident.
Is that off the cushion enough? Yes, just to avoid the double kiss.
191.
Yeah,
A
he's got
little
the red
high.
loser.
Yeah, still all fully in control. Approaching
Oh,
his
he's got the white
second,
loser.
his second double century of the match. 191. Now, what's theoretically possible? Theoretically possible is if you're playing Mike Russell, he can score 100 in 6-ish minutes, 6.5 minutes. Some people say 5.5 minutes if they're super tight at top. It's
We'll get Eric Worsley out. I've seen him make 100 in less than a minute.
sure. And Walter's record for 100 was
22 seconds or something like that. Yeah.
29, I think. Oh, it might have
Yeah.
been 22, but
Yeah,
in
it
a
was
referee
20, it was 20 something, yeah.
in a refereed match, it was 29
But
seconds.
the one I've seen is Eric in 50 seconds.
Yes, yeah,
Amazing to watch. It's
amazing to watch.
off.
But Michael doesn't really play nursery. Steve can play some nurseries. Michael, they can all play them, but you're not at a reliable, competitive, consistent level. Yeah, Grant's saying Causy's good for 1,200 in the remaining time. You're absolutely right. He scored 655 at Yarraville in 37 minutes. So that boy can motor. But Michael isn't going to produce that today. But
Yeah.
mathematically, it's still possible to score at 6 minutes 100. So you'd say an hour left. That's 10 hundreds
I'll
to
have money
steal
on
the
Steve.
match. To steal the match at the last minute, but that requires no misses, and Steve not to score any more. So neither of those things are going to happen, to be honest.
I'm just wondering
Michael's best ever is 300. So yeah,
yeah, I'm just wondering if they're forcing in off into the middle here, perhaps,
why forcing?
because it's not a plain middle pocket loser.
Right? You think it's just
It's either that or a top pocket loser. It's not.
looks it looks like a top
I
pocket
think he's
loser,
going to
doesn't it?
top
He's just
pocket.
going to play smooth and put them together.
I was going to say,
bit
there's a
two
reason
together.
I wouldn't have played it like that, and
Bit
that's the
two
reason.
together. Well, here we get to see
Off the side rail?
what he does. Well, you can spin into it from the
Yeah,
yellow
well.
spot with right hand side, so he'd hit
Well,
cushion,
no, don't use running
cushion,
side.
cushion red white.
Playing
Well-
ball. Definitely playing ball because it'll skid off the top rail. So it's the kind of shot you can play if you're 700 in front.
Exactly. Well, I think he's going to use.
He might
a
go
spin
double
here.
kiss and
You could play the double kiss, spot it on the green spot, and play straight ahead. But the balls are a
I'd
little
go,
close
yeah,
together.
I'd go top rail, red, white.
So would Peter Gilchrist. So you start wide on the yellow spot and play
Yep.
just past the middle pocket
Yep.
and come into it that way. That's
And to be
possible.
honest, if you hit it slightly thick, you can hit the white and then
Yeah.
the cushion and the red. So you get a little bit of
I think
margin
he's
of error
playing it
there.
the way I first said, with the side spin. Ah, no.
Nah, just a basic safety shot.
Yep. So pity he didn't cross the 200 mark. But still... Oh, he did. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh,
Yeah.
I missed
another
that. I should have called that.
And basically just made it
Look at this shot,
difficult
side
for-
against the nap. He's played it with check side
Yeah.
against the nap, because the ball doesn't move much here in Melbourne, because the tables are properly stretched and the nap is laying flat. So he could play actually a standard check side long Jenny against the nap. A shot not possible in Sydney. Double kiss.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's almost like a Janus cloth.
Yes, yes, which is a cotton napless cloth, like a Simonis cloth that they play.
Worth noting, Walter Lindrum's 4,137 was on a Janus cloth.
Actually, I think that was that on a Janus, or was it,
was
the
on a Janus.
3602
It was on a Janus
Janus?
cloth.
Okay.
That's why if you look at his book, he always mentions if playing on a woolen cloth
Yes.
when he talks about certain things. Of course, his book opens with the first chapter, 1,000 break billiards.
That's right. Exactly.
Don't hold back, Walter.
No, that's right. What do you really think? Yeah, like the opening chapter, 1,000 break billiards. Oh, okay. Where do I start?
Just wonder if he'll play the pot red or... Well, he's got 3 shots here.
He does. Pot red to create position on white.
No,
No, pot red again.
Well, he's got the cannon this time, but
He does.
He can just screw back for the white loser. I think that's
He
what
has.
he's done. Play it with check, put it behind the spot, going off the red, and thank you much for the rabbits.
So
Yes.
crosses a couple of times over, doesn't
Yep.
want to draw here. So here, Rod, you would play
Red loser.
red loser, obviously, but which side do you spot it on? So,
Yeah, the other one.
yes, the
Yeah.
other side. So this one,
But you just play the red loser to leave a pot red. I mean,
Yes.
you're 700 in front, just go for broke.
so
He jerked on that.
he did jerk on that, but I think he was putting a little more juice on it to do what you said, which was to set up the pot red.
Technically, he has the...
He has the
again,
foresight.
he's got 4 shots here, so...
Yep. Doesn't like it. The ball's definitely on, not a hard shot, but he just didn't like the positional outcome from there. So a little bit more standard here. Cross loser, red up the centre line of the table, back in hand, and then he can move the white. Well, that's kind of come into no man's land. He's got a long loser, but
The
nobody
white's
likes it.
always there.
Yeah, so I think he's playing one cushion cannon with check side. Check
There is
side
a
to the
gap.
red.
There is a gap. Yep.
Doesn't find the gap. Okay, so he's achieved part 1 of the mission of getting the white ball back out in the centre.
I was going to say,
No.
there's an excellent chance that's going to hit
Oh,
the white, but
cruel.
when you're playing well, this is what happens. You
Yeah,
just leave
so
yourself.
he's-
Yeah,
That's right,
perfect.
he's left 2 half balls. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I'm sure Michael appreciates that.
That's right. Yeah. Can I tell you, Michael?
What about me?
Michael is a complainer. I mean that nicely. But if he doesn't get the run of the balls, you can tell on his face. So he'll be.
Bolton would have left the room.
Well, Matthew's the same. Absolutely. They went to the same school of decorum, I think. Yes, you can always tell if Michael's had a tough break.
Mm.
The eyes go up to heaven, and why me? You know,
Steve, very different.
very different.
Very different.
Very,
He's
very
just the calmest person. He'll just cop it. He'll just
He will
sit
cop-
down and that's it.
Oh, too fine. Who'd
Especially
have
after
thought?
playing a dog of a shot like that.
Mm,
He'll still sit
Too
down
fine.
and go, well, I bug it up.
yes. Well,
He cued that poorly and that's why it squirted.
did you see the match where Joe Manici stole
Yes,
the
I certainly
semi-final
did.
by a point
I certainly did.
after the bell had gone? So that Joe played the
Because-
shot, the bell went, and then the
because-
ball dropped.
Because Steve beat me in the quarterfinal.
Well, there you go. So you would have witnessed it
I was
firsthand.
still there, yeah.
Well, I spoke to Steve after that. Now he had every right in the world
To
to
say I should be in the final.
or at least to feel bad about it, and would not say
There's
a
a lovely
word.
pot with the rest of my that.
It was.
Beautiful.
Would not say a word against
No, he won't say
the
anything
gods
against
or
Joe.
good fortune or
Or
anything
Joe.
else. Or Joe, certainly not Joe, but, you know, just said, no, well, yes, he made a good comeback and I should have been further ahead. That was it. That was all we got from him.
Yeah.
After the most, you know, we were all emotionally drained in the room after watching,
Well,
except Steve.
that's the Australian champion.
That's
which
the
he
Australian
will
champion.
soon be.
Absolutely.
A quality person.
A real gentleman and a quality person.
His brother is too. Bill did a great job raising those boys.
Yeah, so what's their heritage? Was their father?
Bill, yeah. And they both, especially Steve, learnt from George Gannon.
Right. Are they related to George Gannon like David
No,
Collins was?
No,
No connection?
as you know, the George and David are cousins, but
Yep.
no, Bill introduced them both to the Brunswick Club at a young age, and they certainly learnt from, both George Gannon and Hawkeye.
Peter
who
Hawkes.
were both Australian champions, so
But
learned
I
well.
get the feeling that the demeanour is not learned, it's just natural.
no,
They're both
that's raised
James
by
and
your
Steve are-
father.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just Bill. And credit to him.
well,
raising
they're-
two good
they're-
boys.
They're a credit to their family and the sport. I
And it's
mean,
worth
you know,
noting that Steve's younger brother recently won the seniors snooker tournament in Victoria.
Oh, the irony. Yeah, when your little brother's winning the
Yes.
seniors. We need a new category, actually, of like veterans or
Oh,
super
in
veterans.
billiards it doesn't count because
doesn't count.
We're all over 40. So,
Yeah, well, I just played the Australian Masters Games in
Yeah.
Perth, and there were guys in that in their 30s, and I'm thinking, hang on, hang on, I'm 66. You know, like, how are these guys masters?
In terms of snooker, you end up with most of the top players in the world.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean,
They're all born the same year as me.
yeah, that's right. The class of
Ronnie O'Sullivan,
yeah.
John Higgins and Mark
Mark
Williams
Williams,
were all
yeah.
born the same year as me.
well, you're in that class too.
Yeah, give or take a few bucks.
Yeah, give or take a few bucks. And he's back in again. Mike hasn't been able to hold the table.
Yeah. It can be challenging when you're playing against someone who's scoring a hell of a lot and
Yes.
you make the little mistake and you always leave your opponent up.
Yeah.
That's the annoying thing.
Yes.
Even that's an incorrect shot. He's clearly playing to finish in the magic circle, but he's left himself a shot.
Yeah. Nobody likes playing these long, raking shots into the corner pockets, but Steve's been very reliable on them. Bounce out.
George Gray scored about 1,000 of them. But
Yes. Yeah. until his
That
arm
might
went,
be
they said.
a long
Long
Jenny.
Jenny? It is a long Jenny if he spots wide. But the ball doesn't move much on the cloth here. It tends to hold the line.
Yeah, you've got to play at dead pace.
Yep.
Like-
See, it's holding the line.
No, he hit it too thick.
I said
Yeah,
it's
do
one
think.
shot which in Sydney is actually easier because our cloths
Mhm.
move so much.
Yeah.
And once it gets the rail, it stays there. It can even touch the rail twice if you're narrow,
Yeah.
and it'll go in. But here on these slick
You
tops-
actually can play them, but he played it too thick.
yeah,
that-
he did.
that was a mistake.
He did, but the tolerance here in Melbourne is
Oh, yeah, there's
relatively
less,
low because
yeah.
there's not much movement on the cloth, not much nap on the cloth. There's plenty of
Oh,
nap. It's
It
just
will
stretched
be
and
an
lying flat.
easier shot to play in a better month.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But right now they're slick and fast and
Yeah.
slidey. Angled.
No, that's fine. No, it's fine.
Angled on the red.
No, I'm sure it's not.
I think he is.
Really?
He would have played it already. Well, he's got to stand somewhere, doesn't he, poor Paul?
Oh, dear God. It is too.
Yeah.
Oh, if things can't go worse for you. Oh
I
my
know.
God.
I like he got the red into perfect shape. There it is,
Oh, dear
honestly.
God.
Up and down the table.
Just pot the white, just pot the yellow in the middle pocket.
No, he's going up and down the
I'm
table.
double walking you, Steve.
Close.
Oh.
No. Oh, Mickey.
Oh,
It's a
life
tough
hard.
day at the office, isn't it? Or
I
like
tell
a
you
really
what,
tough day
at the end of the day, he's collecting $2,000.
Yeah.
So that'll cover his fee for coming here, and he's good. 500 for the Pacific International. He's doing okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. The worst that can happen to him is he was runner-up in the Australian title.
Yes.
He's
That's
done
the
just
worst thing.
fine. He's
Which is
done
the
just
best he's
fine.
done before. He's been runner-up in this twice
Yeah.
before.
And one of those times he beat Steve in the semi.
Yes, he did. So but Steve's grown another leg with his billiards in the last.
Apparently, even more
Look at
legs.
it. Yeah, look at this.
He's turned into an octopus.
When they run for you, don't they? But they
Oh, yeah.
always run better for the better player.
Yeah.
How does that work? The
Yeah,
better player
it's
also
a cruel
gets
irony.
the luck.
Yeah.
If you're playing badly, you'll
Yeah.
have bad luck as well. It's bizarre.
Well, it's possible that's just how you see it.
It is possible. Yes, that's true. So has he got a skinny in off the white here?
See, that didn't run well.
Well, we'll see.
See
Yeah.
how things can run better if you're actually playing all right. Now,
Yeah.
that's a big target, that red. I don't think from that angle, I don't think the
There's a
gap
gap.
will be a factor.
Yeah. So turning it over
Yeah.
with running side
Yep.
and gathers them together. Unfortunately, he's on the rail, so he can't get to the bottom of his cue ball. So he'll
Thin
have to
and off-white?
manufacture- Yep. Thin on off white.
Or screw white to red.
Can't get to the bottom of the
Yeah,
ball.
it is challenging, but it is doable.
So they'd have to
For
elevate
Steve,
the cue.
it's doable. You really raise the bar of the cue, but he's just going with what I said
Yeah,
first.
thin and off white. It keeps them gathered.
Yeah.
Lovely shot. Now that
See, again,
looks like an
it's
easy
not
shot.
luck and stuff. You're just
No.
making the most of your chances.
No, but when I say luck, I mean genuine.
Yeah.
Luck like a draw or whatever.
Yeah.
It does run for you if you're playing better. I'm convinced of it. So Grant Meadley sent through a picture of the go-kart he's working on while he's listening to our dulcet tones in the background. I know nothing about go-karts, but
Neither do I.
that looks very quick to me and a fine piece of engineering. Well done, Grant.
Does it have a motor?
I think all go-karts
motor
have a
do they
motor,
have?
don't they? I don't know. That thing up the back there looks something like a motor to me.
Well,
right?
Grant's listening, so
I can't be sure.
he'll answer.
Yeah. It looks like a...
Oh,
yeah.
that looks charged up. So yeah.
Yeah. All good.
This, on the other hand, I think pot red is your best option.
So do I. But I think he's going to move the yellow.
Okay. Oh, excellent.
Well, lucky in that case with the double kiss. That could have gone horrible.
Oh, but probably only would have gone. The boy deserves a little bit of luck.
He does. He deserves something. He's been working
I
his
think
tail
even
off.
Steve would
Concede
give him
that.
a little bit
Yeah.
of luck.
So it's come up very high because the yellow
Yep.
is quite a some ways
That's
away
fine.
from
That's
the
a
spot.
nice angle.
It's perfect.
You can double kiss that. Yep. Oh, yeah, it would be weird if you double kissed.
Still good.
That's fine. The yellow's usable.
Very usable.
And as I said earlier, just try to make 100, mate.
Yeah.
Just try to make 100. There's no pressure on you. Just enjoy yourself. You're not going to win. Just try to have a bit of fun.
So we're joined in the commentary box by Ricky Lowe, billiards aficionado. Moved from Sydney to Melbourne. So we lost another one to the Vicks. Great young player. So long distance top of the table here. He's potted red and come up a million miles, come down for the cannon, push the red over the bag again. If you see the yellow scores on the bottom of the screen there, you can occasionally see them flickering and being obscured. That's because it's not an electronic feed from scoreboard to our screens. In fact, Dan's trained two little cameras onto the electronic scoreboard. So from time to time, they're obscured by people getting in front of them. But at least he doesn't have to buy the complex software that directly does it. It's a very clever workaround, Dan, very clever workaround. So in fact there are three little cameras there, are there? One on each score and then the break score as well. Is that right?
No.
One camera 3 times, okay. And you've just edited which areas you're going to display. Very clever. Very clever. Thick.
Pearson, 34.
Also thick. Oh, we've been joined in commentary by Ricky. How are
Hi,
you?
Peter. Yeah, well, yourself?
I'm good, thanks. And why didn't you enter this year?
Life commitments, as you can say. Thanks for the honourable mention during the Pacific International.
Well, yes, I did give you an honourable mention, but I also told a tale out of school about your friends laughing at your menu selections. Being so thoroughly anglicised that all he likes is honey prawns and sweet and sour pork.
Can't miss a good honey king prawn.
That's right. So everybody else is ordering the char kway teow and laksa, seafood laksa, and Ricky's ordering this sweet and sour pork.
You've been hanging around Edwin too much.
Yeah, I have. I have.
I heard you trying to give him
There's no such thing as hanging around Edwin too much. Any time spent with Edwin is time well spent.
I heard you trying to find Edwin the magic 3.
Well, that's right. Some years ago, we came up with and I think you were in it, were you not? Where we said Edwin's just improving so quickly.
Yeah.
That we need to hobble him, and we figured out that hobbling Edwin involved getting him a job, getting him a girlfriend, and getting him a mortgage. And thus far, we've only been successful in the job. So if any of you folks out there have a daughter, I can commend this fine gentleman. He's a wonderful guy, and he'd make an excellent son-in-law. That's all I can tell you. So bring out the girlfriends. The third thing we needed to get Edwin was a mortgage, because he was a bit too footloose and fancy-free, practising his billiards all the time. So far, only the job.
Well, talking from experience, Pete, I've got all 3 plus
You've
a
got
fourth.
the 4. You've actually got the quadrilla we discussed. You've got a young child as well, Rick.
Yeah, that's right. And what he does to your game is the complete opposite. I haven't been able to enter the tournament, and I haven't been able to practice. So
Yeah.
I guess there's good and bad, but
Well, it's. I mean, there are times in your life when you can do these various things. Now,
yeah, true.
I've been back playing billiards for maybe 10 or 11 years, but I spent a long time not playing billiards. I spent a long time working and raising kids and putting them through school, and you know, there are times in your life for various things. So I think you just enjoy whichever phase you're in.
Yeah, for sure.
Edwin's saying, leave me out of this, talk about the match. Well, the match is more or less over, isn't it?
Mm.
So what do you see here?
More often than not, like even when you're playing in a
Oh,
a
he's left
pennant
that short.
or a Western District comp, you're quite often in this position where you got time against that, and you also got a massive catch up. But I think it's also important to stay positive as well.
Yes. Yes. Now, I mean, this is a pretty good example of what's wrong with the time format, and that is that, oh dear, is that you can end up with these dead back ends of timed matches. Whereas with the points format, if you're playing to a point score, it's not over till the fat lady sings. We now know that mathematically, time-wise, because Michael is fighting 2 opponents, the clock and Steve, that the clock is going to get him if Steve doesn't get him. So it's very difficult, and you end up with this dead sector of the game. The converse of that is when you get like a Rob Hall and Sourav Qatari match which is cagey and which drags on. Neither of them actually dominated. So 1500 up took more than 7 hours. So that's no fun. The best thing is when you get, like we had in the Twash Haria, David Corsia World Match Play final, which was down to the wire and down to the seconds on the clock. That's the most exciting finish to my mind. But they're few and far between, these tight time matches. There are always a few in the round robins, but not many. Usually one player dominates.
PEARSON, 14.
Well, he hasn't left a lot for Steve there. He's lined them up. What do you play here, Ricky?
So far in front, probably just off the cushion. Yeah, cannon off the cushion.
So which cushion do you play? The near cushion, the far cushion? Why has he chosen that cushion? Because of the angle of white to red?
Mm.
Yeah, I think the white was sticking out a little bit more, so that would be the right way to go.
As you do, you're on the front, so you get the run of the balls.
So predict a few shots for us.
Or just in off from the red into the left pocket, or does he look like playing in off onto the right pocket?
MIFSUD, 4.
Okay, Miguel, let's see if we can knock in 200. Yes. Nice pace. So what's he doing with the yellow? Played it over that side. I think a lot of players would have taken that fuller and played it up and down to leave the drop cannon. I mean, that's where he was trying to get to. Now he's got a heavy check side drop cannon. See that ball still spinning like a top. I think red's okay from in hand, so he just has to get it in off yellow and promote it to the middle of the table.
Yep.
So you can see very clearly 3 shots ahead here. 2 half balls now, so he can place both balls anywhere he wants positionally. Look at Paul Cosgrove with his eyes on that baulk line. So he's going to set up a reverse drop cannon, so push the white to roughly where the red spot is. I'm going to say roughly, pretty precisely.
18.
Bounce
Good
red.
pace.
Good pace. Good pace. So easy to get backspin on these cloths.
How did you find the tables?
I struggled with them, Ricky. I struggled a lot. I mean, I love them. I think they're brilliant, but it's a little bit like driving a Formula One car. If you know how to drive a Formula One car, then it's a beautiful thing. But if you don't, then you'll probably crash like me.
No.
Oh, lucky Mike. Yeah, so I crashed a lot, but enjoyed the process, enjoyed the drive, enjoyed the ability to make so many shots on these tables. Like that shot Michael played there. I mean, he just gently touches the ball. You know, having been from Sydney, Ricky, we'd have to bash that.
Yeah.
And end up flying around the table. You'd lose control. So you can, you've got control on these cloths that we just don't have. So Michael does need this to go into baulk eventually. Whether he does it now or does it in a minute doesn't really matter.
And that's hard to do as well, learning to adapt to the table, because every table is different.
Yep, very different. And if you've spent a long time doing one thing and you've learnt certain angles, then changing that is very difficult. So Ricky, which club, when you are playing, which club are you playing out of?
I normally play at the Bentley Club. That's my home club team.
Is that close to home, or is it just with guys you know? Or
Nah, it's a bit further away. I was a bit gobsmacked about that shot there. Again, just run the balls from Steve. But yeah, it's quite away from me, but Yeah, I'm playing with Ian Gilby at the moment, and yeah, it's hard to get players down here, surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you've
And-
got a lot of teams in that you've got the City Clubs comp, you've got the Church Billiards comp, you've got the pennant teams in lots of different grades. So you're trying to fill an awful lot of positions. There are, you know, a lot of active players down here. That could be considered a little lucky the way that's fallen. I mean, he's got the yellow near the spot, so he doesn't want to move it too much, but he's got to score something, and promoting the red to a scoreable position is not easy from here. So he's elected to go that way. Didn't look like the logical shot, but positionally it was. A little thinning off here. No, thickening off in and out of balk. Admin wants you to come back and play Western Districts. And I think he's suggesting for Hornsby. Yes, Admin wants you to play for Hornsby Club.
Yeah, I'd love to come back to Sydney.
Well, you know, you've got a lot of friends there.
I'm starting to like Melbourne now. It's starting to grow on me. The culture here's I mean the snooker and the billiard scene is bigger
Better,
here. Yeah,
yeah.
it's better. Quality of tables is nicer as well.
Absolutely.
A lot of people say the coffee is good here, and I can confirm
Yes.
it is nice here.
The coffee's a religion down here, isn't it? I mean, you could be Anglican, Catholic, Buddhist, Muslim, or coffee. Is that a cover?
Maybe a Massey?
I think
Well,
it
you can
probably
see it
fits
there.
through. Just fits through.
Oh,
Oh no, he had the loser. We couldn't tell from that camera angle. But it's certainly a clever shot. Unlucky. So we have had some scores when Matthew's been playing against opponents over 2,000. I don't think Steve can get to over 2,000. Watch the side. Oh, that's a beautiful shot, isn't it?
Shot.
Oh, what a shot. And a gatherer. Come over the top of the white. Push it to the spot.
He plays that well, Steve.
He
To
does.
bring that white back.
He does,
Up the
and
top.
it's you know, it's all about the pace on that one. Where you've got to get the pace on the white, the pace on the red, the pace on the cue ball, and he just does it beautifully. For pool players, snooker players, this is the phase of the game which looks so easy because these guys are making it look easy, but it's actually the hardest part of the game when you've got the balls tight together like this. I say to everybody that tells me, well, that looks pretty easy, try it, see how you go. If you've held position for 5 shots, then you're a very fine player indeed. But even at club level, players should be trying to get to the top because it's the only way to learn, but it's also a reasonable way to score 20 points very quickly. Even if you can only score 20 points, it's a quick, easy 20 points. So he might take a couple of red pots here because the white is actually adjacent to the centre spot of the table. So the mighty Rob Hall has joined the Steve MIFSUD fan club. He's come on there. Rob was runner-up in the event that preceded this, Pacific International, and is currently ranked as the world's number 2 player behind David Corsier, and has had a lot of success in Europe in the Northern Billiards season. And I know he has a great respect for Steve MIFSUD. And he says, good performance from Steve throughout the event, a very worthy winner. Indeed he is. So somebody's, for a change I haven't exaggerated, in fact I've underestimated. I'm told Matthew scored 3,370 in 5 hours to beat Joe Manici a few years ago. Was that 5 hours or longer?
It has been 6 hours.
Could have been 6 hours. Could have been 6 hours. Either way, that's pretty rapid scoring. And Joe did score more than 1,000 in that match, 1,110. So, certainly not disgraced. So, Ricky, only one child at the moment?
Yeah, at the
A
moment.
little boy, little girl?
Little girl at the moment.
Okay, what's her name?
Kayla.
Kayla?
Future world women's billiard champion.
She will be. As long as you're allowed to coach her. I wasn't allowed to coach my kids.
Really?
No, I got a table at home, but I wasn't allowed to coach them.
Is that because the boss said no?
That was because the boss said no. I was allowed to teach them golf, I was allowed to teach them tennis, but I wasn't allowed to teach them billiards.
I think Q Sports overall is worth
Well,
playing.
I do too, that was my view, but I think my wife had seen how much time it had taken up in my case and was prepared to tolerate it she's prepared to lose a husband, but not to lose the kids as well. Pretty sure my daughter Holly could have been a world women's champion. She was very
No
coordinated.
I think one thing we need to highlight in this country is more younger players to play this beautiful game, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And even for myself, being relatively young in this
You are.
game, I mean, I've only been playing it for about 4 or 5 years. There's so much to learn.
Yep. Well, I heard it described as the master game. Admittedly, that was by Robbie Foldavari, who has been a world champion at this and is probably not an impartial observer. But it's true to say that as a billiards player, you can turn your hand to snooker and pool, but the reverse isn't always true. There are very, very few pool players with the skill set to walk onto a billiards table and play well, and likewise for snooker players. But
Definitely advantage if you know how to pot.
look, I think you could say that everybody who made the quarterfinals at this event has knocked in 100 break at snooker, but it would be very rare to find at a snooker event more than a handful that can knock in 100 break at billiards.
Yeah, you're right. Talking about 100, looks like a century coming up.
It does, 97, 100. His third triple figure break of this match, and Michael hasn't had one yet, I think.
Three. Five.
So who's in your Bentley Club team, Ricky?
Got Ian Gilby, Mike Wallen, and got a new player as well, Dinesh. Dinesh, he usually plays
Dinesh
at Yarraville.
Bajaj?
Yeah, he's been playing really well, really good potter.
Yes, he is.
And I saw him, I saw his results in the international, made the last 16, which
He did
did
well.
really well.
Knocked in a 79 break along the way, which was good. Oh, handy little double kiss. Thank you so much.
Back to top.
So your age and Dinesh's age combined probably don't add up to the age of each of your other teammates.
No, I don't think
So,
so.
so you've got the intergenerational team there. Oh,
Well, it's good. At least there's more younger players playing.
yep, that's what we need. But you've got to say things are stacked against billiards when the kind of people this might attract are pretty time poor these days. You need time to learn this game. It's complicated.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's one of those games where if you don't practice, you lose the touch. I think
Yes.
that's probably one of the most important aspects of this
Yes.
game.
In snooker, you can get away with a little more because there are so many stun pot shots that you take. So pace control is not quite as critical. Well, that might be overstating it, but the ability to play stun pots and stop the ball dead, as you so often do in snooker, means that you can get away with a little more, perhaps in terms of pace control. Pace control is everything in billiards because often the ball isn't going into the pocket. In snooker, once you pot the ball, it can either trickle in or slam into the back of the pocket. It makes no difference how fast that object ball is travelling. So you're really only trying to control one ball. But here in billiards, they're trying to control the pace of both balls. Especially on shots like this with cannons and so forth, he has to control the pace of, on top of the tables, all three balls. So it's a different level of pace control. So ball on this side of the table, he could get away with a red pot here, and
Is it
Not-
covering the spot, or is it just looks like it's
it'll
all
go
right?
on the spot, yep. And just not do much with the ball. There we go.
20.
Let's go, Michael. Time for a double century. Don't know why he bothered with that. Didn't need to. Run through and off. Very reliable at that shot. So up to the middle, now I'll set up a drop cannon. You do it simply by trickling his white ball into the pocket. dead weight, or he can run through. Just trickles it in. In fact, he's overhit it. So David Pitt tells me that you made a century in pennant this year.
Yeah, surprisingly, I don't know how I did it.
Well done. What was it?
118, I think it was.
Fantastic. Was that your best in comp?
And I made a 137 a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Mostly at top or mostly open?
Mostly open, yeah. As I say, it's hard to maintain top, isn't it?
Yeah.
You need that touch and that pace. I think it was just like everyone else. It was straight after COVID lockdowns and haven't been playing much. But I think it was that positive mentality and just excited to play. And I think that's the reason why I made that break, because I haven't been practicing at all.
Mm.
And it's just played really well that day. Have you made any breaks this year, Pete?
No, virtually none.
So you've been playing in the Western District, have you?
Well, I've been travelling a bit,
Mhm.
so went across to Perth and played in the Australian Masters Games,
Oh yeah, that's right.
which wasn't much of a field, to be honest. I mean, Western Australia's got some great players, but they elected not to play that. Frank Humphreys didn't realise it was on, so failed to enter, and Neil and Matt Bolton decided not to enter. So only really Ben Judge turned up from the West. Have you been following Josh Burns at this tournament?
I watched him play the last 16 match. He was playing all right, actually. I think just a few simple shots that he was missing. Just those simple shots. I think the pace as well. As I said, it's hard to adapt sometimes. Because he's from Tasmania, isn't he?
He is from Tasmania, and I'm thinking that you'll be playing him for a long time to come. May as well get to know him. Lovely young guy.
67.
Yeah, and he's relatively young too, isn't he?
He is. He's very young. He's early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So even younger than you.
Yeah, and that's what we need. I think we need more younger players to play.
Well, we
this
do,
game.
and you may well end up playing Josh for 3 or 4 decades or more, which is a lovely thing. It's a lovely thing to have that friendship last so long in sport, and there aren't a lot of sports. In fact, this sport, I'm sure, holds the world record for longevity with players like Bob Marshall. He won his first Australian national title at the age of 26 and 27, and I think he won his last at the age of 78, so 51 years later. Now, there'd be no other sport that you could imagine where you could win at the highest level 51 years apart. That would have to be a world record.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
Mm. Grant Meadley's teasing me. Describing me as runner-up to Geet in the World Championship. Yeah, we played and he won. That doesn't make me runner-up to Geet. It makes me loser.
87.
But I did beat the guy that beat Geet, so that was my claim to fame. Was that I played Aidan Murray, who was the national champion of Ireland, managed to get up on him, and he just beaten Geet, so I simultaneously became the Emperor of India and the King of Dublin at the same time. Mike's just battling this, but he's heading towards a century, which would be a good thing and restore a bit of pride. Tough pot here, though. Come on, the Blues. Oh, not even a consolation prize.
93.
Good break
Still-
nonetheless, 93.
93, that's his best contribution in the match.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody's asking what kind of scores Max Williams made. Let's see if we can find that out for you. Does go back quite a ways.
Good pot there by Mike. They'll run for a kill. Good pace there too.
So Max Williams, 1971, defeated Bruce Stevens, and the high break for the tournament was Max Williams with 185.
16.
Now that's been passed multiple times in this tournament.
18.
So there's no doubt that standards have improved as we've gone along. But I don't have the match scores there. I'm sure that David will post something. He seems to have records on everything.
Maybe a last century before,
Yep, 8 minutes.
if possible.
He can do it.
3.
This looks a bit more characteristically Michael.
was talking to Michael yesterday, and he was mentioning that he haven't had much practice himself, just been working, and haven't been playing the Western District as well, so not much match play at all. And
Well, Adwin had a hit with him and said that he was looking less than at his best. I think his words were not quite the same player he was. But it's been hard. I mean, COVID's disrupted everything.
yeah, for sure. Ooh.
And there are so many of our top 10 players who elected not to be here.
Yeah, quite a few players missing. This
Lots of
year.
players missing, including your teammates Ian Gilby. Did Ian tell you why he didn't enter?
He mentioned that his wife's not well.
Ah, yes. Okay. Same for Frank Humphreys.
Yeah, so that's why he couldn't be here this year.
Mm.
I think he told me that he hasn't missed any Australian national in the last 30 odd years. So
That'll be about right, and always performs well. But out of the top 10, we're missing Jason Colebrook, who is now managing, oh, what a great shot, the Ronnie O'Sullivan Snooker Academy in Singapore, and the boss was visiting this week, so he was unable to visit.
yep.
Ben Judge from Western Australia, who's a regular entrant. The great David Collins, who's had some health issues. Don Richter. George Chamis from Sydney.
Yeah, where is he this year, George?
A good question. Don't know. I didn't hear
Okay.
from George. I would have expected he was here.
Mm.
And at 10, Grant Meadley, who's, well, we know now he's building a go-kart. So evidently that's more important than hanging out with your mates. Thanks, Grant. And even further down, some other regulars. Frank Humphreys, Adwin, David Cosgriff, Ian Gilby, Brian Mulday. I don't know where Brian Mulday is.
Victorian player, I think, right?
Hmm. Grant claims to have had a hot date on Saturday night. If you have a hot date on Saturday night, you have to hand in your billiards players' union card. Yes, Adwin can't play in this national event because he still proudly bears the Malaysian flag in his chest when he plays. But he could have played in the Pacific International.
Mm. Same with the Pacific as well. A few guns missing there, like Devaj Haria and
There's been a
David
change
Corsia.
in situations for the Indian players with COVID and economic woes all over the place. They've, I don't know whether it's universal or just some of them, but they've lost their corporate sponsorship. Now, in the past, Indian players were in a kind of semi-government role where the government, monopoly companies, the steelworks, Indian Railways, chemical companies, all had to employ a billiards player on their staff, and they paid these guys to travel the world playing billiards and gave them free tickets on Air India. Well, thank you so much. No wonder they were playing billiards, but in recent years that's all stopped, so the players are paying for their own account, and even Saurav, who won the Lance panel and the Pacific International Billiards, was barely a break-even proposition for him, and if he costed his time in, then it was not viable, really. So, unlike snooker, this is a game that you play because it's beautiful and it's elegant and we love it. But if you're hoping to make money out of it, don't do it. In fact, I said earlier that Josh Burns wasn't coached, but I did give him one piece of life advice when he was about 16, the first year I met him. I said, "What do you want to be when you grow up, Josh?" And he said, "Billiards player." I said, no such job. What do you want to be when you grow up?" And he said, "Billiards player." I said, "No, wrong answer. Think again." Think again. I said, "Engineers make wonderful billiards players. Be an engineer." Right, or something else. So, yes. So 1 minute to go. What magic can we construct? We don't know if we got a score there. Evidently not if Michael's at the table. Edwin suggesting I crushed young Josh's dreams. Somebody had to.
I always wanted to be a billiard player too, Pete.
Well, there you go, Ricky. It ain't a job. But you know that now because you're a big boy. But Josh wasn't at that stage. But he's got his life well and truly together now. Seconds to go. Leanne says, snooker is also elegant, beautiful and wonderful. Yes, it is.
Time, thank you, gentlemen. Michael Pearson, 14.
And that's it. That's all.
There we go. So Dave McMahon, master statistician. Max Williams beat Bruce Stevens 1640 to 1492 in 1971. Now, they would have been 6-hour matches.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That completes our final for the 2022 Australian National Billiards. Could I encourage you to give a round of applause for your combatants?
So the match was great, but these guys are good. Okay, well done everybody. Well done Steve MIFSUD, Michael Pearson. Thank you so much to the ABSC for organising. To Dan Lynch, our producer. To Ricky Lowe, our commentator. Garvin Gray, our scorer. Paul Crosgriff, our referee. And of course our two finalists. Two great champions in their own right. Current champions of their own states meeting in the final. So thank you all for listening to us droning on, and we'll sign off now. Thank you so much.